Hey, welcome back to Locked On Braves for another episode of the Locked On Braves podcast. Going to talk about prospects mostly on today's podcast, talking about where the Braves system ranks among other Major League Baseball teams. Also going to talk about the Mets hire of Buck Showalter for their manager position and whether or not that scares me as a Braves fan or not. So we talk about that and all of that on today's podcast of Locked On Braves. So let's get into it.
Hey, this is Stacey Gotsoulias,
DC Lundberg,
Ryan Finkelstein,
Taylor Blake Ward,
host of Locked On Yankees,
Locked On Mariners,
Locked On Mets,
Locked On Angels,
and you're listening to Locked On Braves.
Locked On Braves,
Locked On Braves,
part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your favorite teams every day. I'm your host, Jacob Mastriani, and you can follow me on Twitter simply at shortstopball. Check out my bio there to see everywhere I am covering the game of baseball, including the Atlanta Braves over at tomahawktake.com. Also, make sure you follow the podcast on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves. Appreciate all the follows there, making this an interactive show with you. Appreciate all your questions and submissions for ideas that you've sent in for the show. So make sure you're following us on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast, wherever it is you listen to your podcast. Appreciate all the reviews there as well. And thank you for making Locked On Braves your first listen each and every day. So on today's podcast, going to briefly be talking about the Mets' decision to hire Buck Showalter, what that means for the Braves. Does that put any fear into the Braves, or should it put any fear into the Braves in the division as the Mets look to try to be the biggest rival for the Braves going forward? So we'll discuss that, but mostly we're going to be focusing on prospects in this podcast. I've been talking a little bit about prospects here and there, but had a question come up as far as where the Braves farm system ranks among other farm systems. So we're going to be talking about that, and then I'll give you the prospects that I am most excited about in the Braves system. So talk about all of that on today's podcast for Locked On Braves. So let's start with the Mets' decision to hire Buck Showalter as their new manager. So this happened over the weekend. Kind of had seen it coming for a while. It had been rumored as the most likely choice for the New York Mets. I found it a very interesting choice, to say the least. Now, I've always really liked Buck Showalter. I think he's a very good manager. But I never felt like this was the guy to take the Mets where they want them to go. So let's give a little bit of background on Buck Showalter for those who aren't familiar. He has a ton of experience, albeit not experience winning championships, but he has a lot of experience, been managing for a long time, managed the Yankees from 1992 to 1995. So obviously has plenty of experience managing in that city. What comes with that? That was right before the Yankees went on their World Series run, as we know, starting in 1996, and that dynasty that they had that should have been our dynasty, but we're going to let that go because we are the reigning World Series champs. And then he managed the Diamondbacks from 1998 to 2000, right before they won their championship. And then he also managed the Rangers from 2004 to 2006. I honestly did not even remember that he managed the Rangers, but it did not go particularly well there in Arlington. And then in his longest tenure, he was with the Baltimore Orioles for a while, probably what a lot of you remember. He was there from 2010 to 2018, had some very good success there during the Adam Jones days. So he's had, a lot of experience, had some good experience. He has had 11 winning seasons of his 20 seasons as a manager, including a 500 season. So 12 of his 20 seasons, he's finished 500 or better, has a 506 winning percentage as a manager, but just 3 division titles out of 20 years and 9-14 in the postseason with no pennant. So he's never made it further, or he's made it into the championship round, but never any further than that. So again, a very extensive career for Buck Showalter, plenty of experience, knows how to win. Again, he's had that calling card for a while as the manager to get you to a championship. Again, kind of helped build up the Yankees before they went on their run, and then built up the Diamondbacks before they won their World Series and were relevant for a while. So he's kind of been the guy to get you to where you want to go. But obviously, that's not what the Mets are hoping. The Mets are hoping he is the guy to deliver for them, the guy to take them to a championship. So, I mean, I like Buck Showalter. I hate that he went to the Mets because I'll have to obviously cheer against him now, but I've always been a fan of his. But this hire does not really scare me in the slightest. For one, I think managers play. I don't want to distinguish what managers do, but I think they play a little role in the outcome. I think probably the biggest thing for managers today is how they handle the bullpen. And I've had my criticisms of Brian Snitker in that area, but he was brilliant in this past postseason as far as how he managed the bullpen. You can make some questions about Game 5, but when you come back and win Game 6 with a fresh bullpen to back up Max Fried, not that he really needed it, you can kind of forgive that. But that's really the only criticism that you look at with a manager these days, because managers don't bunt anymore. That's not part of the game. They don't hit and run anymore. It's just building a lineup and managing the bullpen. That's the biggest things that managers do as far as on field. Now, most Braves players will tell you what they love about Brian Snitker is what he does off the field and how he cares for their players. He fights for their players, and they all want to play for him. And that is huge. And you can't, value that. You can't put a value on that as far as X's and O's, what you see on the field. But again, Buck Showalter, very good manager. I like him. I think he'll do very well for the Mets, but I don't see this as a managerial move that puts them over the top. To be honest with you, I was far more afraid of the Joe Girardi hire for the Phillies. I've always really respected Girardi as a manager, and I definitely think he is a good one. But I don't know where the Phillies are right now. So, just looking at the managers in the NL East, I mean, you got Mattingly, you got Girardi, Showalter, Snitker, and Davey Martinez. I mean, they're all really good managers. So, I mean, the NL East is a competitive division. We all know this. It seems like every team wants to win. The Phillies are spending money to want to win. The Mets are doing the same. We know the Braves right there. The Marlins are in a rebuild, or on the verge of turning things around there, getting through a rebuild. And then I don't know what the Nationals' plans are. I guess they're about to go through a rebuild themselves, but they just won their championship. So I mean, the NL East is a competitive division. They all have very good managers now. I don't know who else out there really would have been a good fit for the Mets that was available. So I think they probably got the best of what was out there. So, I don't fault them for that at all, but, it's nothing that would worry me as a Braves fan right now with that hire from the Mets. So, all right, let's move on from that. Let's talk about prospects. When we come back, I want to talk about the Braves farm system as far as where they rank compared to the rest of Major League Baseball, why they rank there, and who are some prospects I'm excited about. This holiday season, grab the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, or even better than a candy bar. Built Bar, filled with so much holiday goodness, rich with decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat, and high in protein. You get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. So many flavors, you'll have a hard time choosing. Will you go with the raspberry or mint brownie, the cherry or double chocolate? Or I have a tough time deciding between cookies and cream or peanut butter brownie, two of my favorites. Built Bar gives you that extra fuel that you need to bust down those mall doors and battle all the holiday shoppers. Or if you're just standing in endless shopping lines, Built Bar can give you that extra something to keep you going. So throw one in your jacket or purse. You never know when you're going to need it. And if you like some of those marshmallowy treats around the holidays, then you need to get your hands on Built Bar Puffs. They're light, fluffy, and marshmallowy through and through. Different flavors, all covered in chocolate. Tastes so good, and you won't believe they're filled with protein. Go to built.com, use our promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your order. Again, that's LOCKED15 at built.com for 15% off your order. All right, so let's jump into the Braves farm system rankings. And had this question. This came from 1D Junior 10 L1D on Twitter. He says, "Where does our farm system, talking about the Braves, rank in terms of Major League Baseball?" So there's obviously tons of different sites out there to measure this against. I'm going to just stick with the MLB.com guys. They're very good at what they do. I mean, this is their primary job. I know there's a lot of other good sites out there, guys who are very in tune with prospects. But I'm going to just stick with MLB.com. One reason, because it's easy to find and it's free. But I think you're going to find a similar ranking across the board, no matter what site you look at, for the Braves. And the ranking, as far as farm system wise, has dropped significantly over the years for the Braves. And there's many reasons for that, which I will get into. But just looking at MLB.com right now, as far as their update in August, they ranked the Braves as far as farm system 23rd in all of baseball. And that is really hard to look at. It's really hard to say with how well the Braves farm system has been, over the last couple of years, really 5 or 6 years. And even if you go back to 2020 and their preseason rank before the 2020 season for the Braves, their farm system was 8th in all of baseball. And even before the 2021 season, they were ranked 15th. So again, this is a very steep decline. And they do have 4 players ranked in the top 100, and Christian Pache, Shea Langeliers, Drew Waters, and Michael Harris. Michael Harris just recently joined. Again, I've been talking about the fact that I think Harris and Langeliers are their top 2 prospects. Would not even be surprised if Pache and Waters possibly fall out of the top 100 the next time they do their updates. But last I saw, those 4 were at least ranked in the top 100. So here's a couple of reasons why the Braves farm system is so low. And you hear me I talked about potential trade for Matt Olson on Monday's podcast and just told you, I don't think the Braves have a deep enough farm system to pull off a trade like that. Or if they do, then it's really going to kill the Braves farm system even more. But here's reasons for that. Here's why the farm system ranks where it does now. Part of their back half of the farm system, which is really where this farm system loses its value, is because of the international signing restrictions, penalties, whatever you want to call them, that the Braves have been under since the copy regime, which the Braves are now fortunately coming out of. But it has been a long road, and it has really hurt the back half of the Braves farm system. When you really sign a lot of these international kids, is what they are, and you don't really know how a lot of them are going to develop, but they're raw talented kids, and some of them turn out to be Fernando Tatis Jr., Ronald Acuna Jr., or Ozzie Albies. So these are really lottery ticket type prospects, but they get a lot of run in farm systems, and they help build up farm systems because they are lottery tickets. They could really hit big on one of those kids and become superstar players. And the Braves just haven't had that. They don't have anybody in that back half of the system to really get excited about. What's in their back half of their system are college guys that at their peak are going to be utility type players, back of the rotation type pitchers, or bullpen arms. And that's just not exciting for prospects ranked 15 to 30. You really want to see some of those high upside guys, and the Braves just don't have that in the back of their farm system right now. They don't have those guys with big upside that you could see making big jumps, prospect wise. So that's a big reason why the farm system is hurt so badly, is because of those international signing restrictions. That's really hurt the depth of the Braves farm system. The other thing is that they've just graduated a lot of players. A lot of their big prospects that they acquired during the rebuild are now part of the world champion Atlanta Braves. So that's just part of it. That's what happens in a rebuild. You acquire good talent, that talent comes up together, and you win championships. That's the whole formula. It's the whole plan, and it has worked for the Braves. But those players have now graduated and left the farm system, and as a result, the farm system has suffered, and there hasn't been anything really to refill that because of the international signing restrictions that I've mentioned. And you could put it on some poor drafting as well. Obviously, when you're winning, you're drafting at the back half of the first round. So you're not getting those huge, big bonus, highly ranked prospects. And the Braves, the past couple of years at least, they have really went below slot for their first round picks and taking some guys with high upside, but guys that aren't really seen as darling prospects. So that's part of it too. Their first round picks that they've went after, haven't really helped their farm system rankings. Not that neither one of them and in Cusick or Schuster has pitched poorly. They just don't have that. They don't have that velocity as a prospect yet to really, jump into a top 100 ranking or anything like that. And the 2020 season certainly didn't help that, not allowing the opportunity for those guys to showcase their skills. So, that combine all of that, that's really why the Braves farm system has dropped like it has. I mean, they've lost guys just in the past year or so. They've lost guys like Austin Riley, like Ian Anderson, like Mike Soroka, who have graduated from prospects to major league players. And that's when you lose guys like that, that's obviously going to hurt your farm system rankings. Now, it also doesn't help that Pache and Waters did not develop and have not hit the way that many thought they would when they were really highly ranked prospects. And they have taken a step back, and that's certainly going to hurt. That's why you see the Braves preseason rank at 15, and then they drop them all the way down to 23rd, even though they really didn't lose anybody from the farm system this year and only gained players through the draft. But that's why you see them take a step back, because Pache, Waters haven't developed like they had hoped. I mean, the Braves outfield was demolished in 2021, and those guys still didn't even get a chance at the big league level because they haven't developed like many thought they might. So, don't get it twisted. Some of the Braves' good prospects haven't fulfilled their potential like some thought, but it's mostly because the Braves' good prospects have graduated and they've really been, their depth has been hurt by those international signing restrictions. That's why the farm system is where it is at now. But they have to do a better job of drafting, that is for sure. And they have to do a better job now than get into the international signing market. It's signing some of those young players, developing them, and putting them into their farm system and being some high upside tickets at the back half of their rankings. That will certainly help them get back to where they want to be as far as their farm system rankings. All right, next I want to tell you about some prospects that I am excited about after the 2021 season, the prospects I'm most excited to see next year. BetOnline has you covered all season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. As football season continues to march to the playoffs, BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus from basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, so I want to give you 4 or 5 prospects that I'm really excited about, prospects that I think could become really good, big contributors for the Braves in the next couple of years. Some of these are going to be pretty obvious, especially the two at the top, Michael Harris and Shaylin Gellers. Again, what I think are the Braves' 2 best prospects right now. Michael Harris has a chance to be a 5-tool player, still waiting on the power to develop. Going to be a big year for him in 2022, jumping to Double-A, where it's much harder to hit. That is a very tough league to hit in, and you're seeing a lot of the obviously top prospects in all of baseball. So 2022 will be a big season for him to see just how good of a prospect he's going to be. He continues to hit like he has at the lower levels, and he adds some of that power. You're going to see his prospect ranking soar. I'm holding on his autographed rookie card right now, or his draft card, hoping that thing just balloons if he does have a big year in Double-A. But if you see that, I mean, you could legitimately see him preseason mid-2022 be a top 15, top 20 overall prospect, because he has all the other tools, or he has all the tools and intangibles, to be one of the best prospects in all of baseball. You see him do it on the AA level. And again, if that power comes like many think it will, I'm telling you, this is going to be one of the top prospects in all of baseball, but he's got to prove it first at the AA level. Shaylin Gellers, he's pretty much proven all he needs to in the minor leagues right now. He has the elite defense. He's shown the power. Even if he hits 240, 250 at the big league level, as long as he hits 20, 25 homers, plays the elite defense, I think he's very close. Could see him make his debut in 2022, but will most likely start the season at 2021, allow him to continue to develop there. Sometimes it takes catchers a little bit longer to adjust to the big league level, so certainly don't want to rush him, but I do think he could be a potentially all-star level catcher. Same for Michael Harris. Those are the two guys right now that I think could be all-star caliber in the Braves system. And then I've talked about them a lot. Some other prospects I'm really excited about, one being Bryce Elder. And it's not that I think Elder is going to be a top of the rotation start pitcher, but I loved when the Braves drafted him in that 2020 draft. I just think he's a very safe bet to be a middle of the rotation, possibly back of the rotation pitcher for a very good while in the big leagues level. He's always kind of struck me as that, just very safe pick, safe starter, a guy that can get to the big leagues and can get outs in the big leagues. So, and obviously has had a very good year. He has risen very quickly through the system. Could see him in 2022 as well. So very excited for Bryce Elder. I just think he's going to be a very steady part of the rotation once he makes his debut, and could be a part of the rotation for a while. Another one I'm really excited about is Freddy Tarnock. It's taken him a while. Injuries have certainly held him back, but he kind of started to figure things out in 2021 and put it together. I think he's potentially the pitcher in the organization that has the biggest upside still. So, I want to see him pile that on in 2022, continue that progress that he made in 2021. I think he could have a big year in 2022 as well and really start to shoot up these prospect rankings. And then another one, and this is the player I wasn't necessarily high on when they drafted him in 2020, but I thought he really came along nicely in 2021, and that's Jesse Franklin. I'm really starting to love the bat, and I'm thinking he can become a solid corner outfielder really pretty quickly as a college bat out of Michigan. Took him a while in 2021, but once he figured it out, again, I've said it on here before, I think he kind of outplayed Michael Harris the last 2 or 3 months of the minor league season in Rome. He can, again, it's going to be a big adjustment to AA for him, just like it will be for Harris, but he continues to show that power and that hit tool. Again, I think he could rise quickly, become a very solid corner outfielder at the big league level. So he's certainly somebody that I have my eye on as well. So those are 5 prospects that I'm excited about going into the 2022 season. Let me know on Twitter who you are excited about. What are some Braves prospects that are on your radar? Do you think the Braves farm system is ranked too low? Are you higher on the Braves farm system than a lot of other outlets are? Just let me know. Hit me up on Twitter. But that will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Again, you can send in those comments to @shortstopball and @LockedOn_Braves on Twitter. Send me in your questions. Let me know your thoughts about the Braves farm system. Also, make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast, wherever it is you get your podcast. And we will talk to you next time.